On today's podcast, we talk about misaligned expectations, goals, and what to do if you're facing foreclosure. Hey, what's up, Foreclosure Fix family, and welcome to another episode of the Foreclosure Fix Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Olojo, and our goal here is to help 1 million homeowners successfully navigate foreclosure. Now, if that mission resonates with you, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, or share our content with someone who you know can benefit, or better yet, get them a copy of our latest book called The Foreclosure Fix, 12 Proven Steps to Beat the Bank, Escape Foreclosure, and Turn Your Property into a Profitable Asset. Y'all, do me a favor. Please go ahead and like and subscribe on your favorite platform. It really helps the algorithm. It helps us get our message out to those who can benefit and who need this information. And it helps your boy in many, many ways get more good book reviews like the one I'm about to share with you, which came in from Thomas. So Thomas sent me a direct message. He said, I bought the Audible and the book. I just finished it yesterday and I took a page of notes. I thought it may be helpful. I was not expecting the ending. That was powerful. Your vulnerability in describing your feelings, writing the book, and the conviction in your personal experience you shared. Top notch. I haven't stopped thinking about it. Y'all, I didn't write the book for any money. I didn't write the book because I thought it was going to make me famous. I wrote the book because I really want to help people who are facing foreclosure. Over the years, we have seen so many different people who are facing foreclosure, and those people who did not have to go through that traumatic experience if they knew what to do, when to do it, and the best way to do it. And that's what the book is all about. And so if you are facing foreclosure and you're trying to figure out what your next move is and what your best move is, check out a copy of the book. But if you can't afford the book, and you just want some resources, check out our website at theforeclosurefix.com. We have free resources on there. We also have links that can get you to a HUD counselor in your area. We want you to get help. We don't care who you get it from, whether it's from us at the Foreclosure Fix, whether it's from reading a book, whether it's from somebody online. We just want you to get the help you need when you're facing foreclosure. With that being said, I am ready to go for this episode. And the reason why I am so excited about this episode is because we're talking about goals and misaligned expectations. And when I say misaligned expectations, I am talking about when one party is expecting something and the other party is expecting something different, and there is a lack of communication. And so recently, we did a project for a family. And if you all don't know, in addition to the work we do around real estate and foreclosure, we also do fee construction, which basically means that if you have a project, you pay us a fee and we'll come in and do the project. And those projects could be painting, it could be roofing, it could be a myriad of things, but we also do that type of work as well. And we do it on a selective basis because we're picky and people are difficult to work with sometimes. And recently we had a situation where there was just really misaligned expectations. And when I say misaligned expectations, it means that the homeowner thought something and us as the service provider thought something else. Now, in this specific scenario, there was a third party middleman involved. And so that kind of helped create this misalignment of expectations. And so just to be a little bit more frank, what happened is that we were coming in to do some interior and exterior paint and some flooring on a property. Simple enough. You paint the inside and you paint the outside, put in some new flooring, and that's that. Well, it should have been that simple, but it was problematic. And it was problematic for numerous reasons. One, we were told that the house would be vacant, and the house was not vacant. The house was occupied. And it wasn't just like occupied with a couple things here and there. It was occupied with a full family and dogs. And so that creates numerous problems as you think about trying to paint a house. In addition to that, we were told that we would get the paint colors and we would, there would not be any delay. Well, it took a little bit to get the paint colors and they didn't like the paint colors. And so we had to repaint. In addition to that, there was just numerous things that happened throughout the project that made us frustrated, but then also the homeowner was frustrated. And the reason why the homeowner was frustrated is because their expectations weren't met. They thought that we knew the house was occupied. They thought that we knew they didn't have the paint colors. They thought that we knew all the things that were going on. And so in this process, those misaligned expectations did two things. It made the experience horrible for us, and it made the experience horrible for them. The reason I give you this story and what this story illustrates to me is that oftentimes when people are facing foreclosure, there's a misalignment of expectations. And I really mean as it pertains to the zombie loans that people are talking about, the ones that the bank maybe wrote you a letter that said, hey, this loan is charged off. And you were thinking like, great, this loan is charged off. I don't have to worry about it. My expectation is that for some reason, the bank said, I don't have to pay this anymore. It's almost like student loan forgiveness. Like I did what I was supposed to do. They forgave it and I'm on to the races. I only have to worry about my first mortgage, or I don't have to worry about a mortgage at all. They haven't called me to collect. They haven't done anything. And so your expectations are rooted in the fact that this is gone. This doesn't exist anymore. It's not my problem. Versus the lender just said, hey, I'm shelving this. And my expectation is that they're not able to pay, or they're not going to pay right now, and they will get to me when they can, or when a life event happens and they have to sell the house and they have to satisfy the debt at that time. And so there is a misalignment of expectations there. The homeowner is saying, I'm done with this. The bank is saying, I'm putting it on the shelf and I'll get back around to it when I can, or they'll come find me because they owe me the money. And so if you're a homeowner and you say, I'm done with this, this is gone, or you modified your loan, or the circumstances changed, then you'll say, hey, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? I am good to go. But the bank still wants their money. And mentally, for a homeowner who's facing that situation, it's very, very difficult to come to terms with the fact that, oh, something that you thought was gone, something that you thought didn't exist anymore, something that you thought was paid off, something that you thought was wrapped into your current modification, something that you thought was addressed already has now resurfaced. And what I want to tell you is that the best way to handle misaligned expectations is to address the problem right away. See, in that scenario that I gave you where there was misaligned expectations between the homeowner and us, what I failed to tell you is that throughout that process, because the house was occupied, the team also damaged some of their furniture, right? Because if you imagine, if you're painting a property, you have to move the furniture away from the wall to paint the wall. Then you have to cover the furniture as you paint the ceilings, and you don't want sheetrock dust and things like that on it. In addition to that, if you're changing the flooring in the room, you have to move all the furniture out and then move it back in. And I hire professional painters, I hire professional flooring installers, but these folks are not professional movers. And so as a result, a couple of things got damaged in the process, like a vase was broken or a lampstand was broken, and we have to pay for that stuff. But again, the expectation was that the house was going to be vacant. And so my team was upset. And then the homeowner was upset because their stuff got broken. Again, misaligned expectations. Both people are frustrated. But what you have to do in that scenario is, one, own up and say, okay, we made these mistakes and we still accepted to move forward with the job. And so at the end of the day, we have to make sure we make it right. The other thing that you have to do is get over it very quickly. And when I say get over it very quickly, I'm not talking about mentally just get over it. I'm talking about you have to address it. Like you can't let it loom in the past and say, oh, this is going to go away. No, when things are not addressed, they just boil up. If you are telling somebody there's a problem and they ignore you for months and months and months on end, they just don't say, oh, I'm going to pacify you by just being quiet. They get more upset. Like if you are ignoring what I'm telling you and I'm telling you that it's a serious problem, they're going to get more upset. And so in your situation facing foreclosure, if that's what you're doing with the bank, they're going to get more upset. They're going to keep going down that road towards foreclosure. And I want you to understand that, yes, your expectations may be misaligned. You may be in a situation where you got sick and you thought that the bank would have compassion on you because of the fact that you got sick. Or you reached out to your servicer proactively and told them, hey, I just lost my job. I'm going to need help. But they said something like, yeah, we can't do anything until you have missed, 3 payments. And so you're saying, I'm telling you right now that I'm going to miss some payments. And you're telling me that you can't do anything for me until I've missed 3 payments. That doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to be proactive. And they're giving you that normal script. I get it. It's frustrating. Misaligned expectations. You're trying to be proactive and they're telling you just wait until you're late, right? I get it. But I want to tell you that the best way to handle misaligned expectations is to face them head on. And the way you can do that if you're facing foreclosure is multiple things. Contact your servicer, have that conversation. Figure out ways to deal with the debt at hand. If you have not ever requested a payoff statement or reinstatement statement, request one. That way you know exactly how much you owe. Oftentimes you'll be surprised how many people say, oh, I just owe a few $1,000s to catch my mortgage up. And then they get a reinstatement and they owe $10,000 or $15,000 because maybe the taxes or escrow were due. And then maybe there's some legal fees in there. And then they figure out like, wow, I'm way behind and there's nothing I can do. The other thing I'll tell you is that if you don't see a way forward and you're saying, man, there's no way I'm going to get through this with my current financial situation, with everything I have going on, you need to talk with a professional. And when I say a professional, I'm talking about either a HUD counselor or a bankruptcy attorney. And yes, that bankruptcy word is a foul word, is probably the worst B word out there, right? It's worse than the female dog word. It is bankruptcy. That word can scare so many people. It can mean that you are going to forever damage your credit. It can mean that stain stays on your record for the rest of your life. But it can also mean freedom. It can also mean that you put yourself in a position to keep your house. You put yourself in a position to save your house. You put yourself in a position to get rid of some debt that you need to get rid of in order to keep your house and keep the things that are most important to you. So if you are in a situation where your expectations are misaligned and you thought that the bank was going to do one thing and they did something else, or you thought that your debt was forgiven and it's not, well, let me let you know that there's hope and that you can do something about it. You got to address the problem right on, head on, and you got to move forward. That is the thing I want to tell you today. The other thing I'm going to share with you is about goals. So many people have New Year's resolutions. January is coming up. By the time this podcast drops, I think we're going to be right there in December. But I want to do something for you. I want to give you a gift that somebody gave me a little while ago when they said, don't wait until January 1st to start your New Year's resolutions. They said, start them December 1st. Yes, start your New Year's resolutions December 1st. Everything that you're planning to do in January, just try to start in December. And what that does for you, it gives you momentum going into the new year. I know how it is that, if you're saying, hey, I'm going to give up drinking, I'm going to, for 30 days, maybe do a Daniel fast where, you're only eating fruits and vegetables, or maybe, I'm going to start working out every day, or maybe I'm going to spend time reading scripture or reading a book a day, or whatever things that we set ourselves up to do in January that we do for, 2 weeks or 30 days. And then we're just like, oh, I can't do this anymore. And we get back to our normal lives. Go ahead and start that in December. And I'm not pointing fingers. I'm guilty as the next man or the next woman. I make these lofty goals and I fall flat on my face all the time. So I'm not pointing fingers. Don't think I'm better than or saying that. I'm giving this same advice to you that I'm giving to myself. I already text this out to all my different homies on my different fellas chats where I'm like, hey guys, I'm starting December, right? I'm doing this in December. I'm doing this. I've already signed up for a half marathon that I'm doing with my cousin. So I got an accountability partner. Like, I'm trying to put all these things in place. And the reason I say that is because if you have goals, even if you don't hit your goals, you are more likely to get further than you would if you had no goals. So that's the first thing I'll tell you. And go back to my podcast from last year where we talked about goal setting and how to set the best goals. And we may revisit that stuff later this year, but I really, really want you to know that it's so important that instead of waiting to January to start your goals, start in December. And you may say, well, DJ, I got goals to eat really clean. And I know with the holiday season, I'm going to be, with family. And the last thing I'm trying to do is be that person where it's like, oh, I only take a little bite of this, a little bite of that. I'm trying to pig out. I get it. Thanksgiving just passed and your boy, he ate good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't play. I had to do a workout in the morning so that way I can prepare my body for all the sweets and food I consumed. I get it. But at the end of the day, right, you can eat good on Christmas or eat good, a day before and a day after Christmas and then get back to your normal routine. See, again, what you want to do is you want to build momentum. We always hear that theory about the snowball, and Dave Ramsey talks about that debt snowball where you kind of just are building that snowball that compounds. Well, good habits also compounds too. I think in the book Atomic Habits, it talks about how many days it takes to kind of create a routine or create a habit. And so if you can get in there 30 days faster, right? Instead of starting in January, what if you've already used to working out? Like all that atrophy you've had in your muscles from not working out or all those kind of habits that you've been kind of procrastinating on are already kind of solidified. by. You've been doing it for 4 weeks. And so by the time January comes, it feels normal. And where everybody's just getting started, where the gym's all packed out, where all the good workout gear and workout equipment is already used, right? You already have your routine. You know what to do. And so again, I'm just giving you that kickstart to say, if you got some goals that you want to do in January, go ahead and start them now. What would it look like if in a year from now you started something and you didn't stop it? You know, one question I want to ask you out there is, in a year from today, in a year from whenever you're hearing this podcast, what is the one thing you're going to be most excited about? In a year from today, what is the one thing that you are going to be most proud of yourself for? Let that sink in for a minute. If you're facing foreclosure and you're out of foreclosure, what does that feel like? What an amazing accomplishment. If you're overweight and you lose 20, 30, 40 pounds, what does that feel like? Amazing. What an accomplishment. If you drink too much and you stop drinking, what does that feel like? What an accomplishment. Y'all, when you think about your goals and you think about the year ahead and you think about starting now, I want you to think about how it's going to feel when you find success on the other side. Wrap your head around that feeling of euphoria when you receive the mortgage cancellation from your bank, or when you stop getting all those letters about demand this and you need this, and you just get regular statements that say, oh, your monthly mortgage payment is going to be withdrawn on this date, and you got enough money in the bank account to pay it. What does it feel like to be debt-free, cash rich? What does it feel like not to have the mental stressors of not having enough money for the month? What does it feel like to have margin? Think about that. See, this podcast often talks about all things foreclosure related, but I also want to get you in the mindset for what is to come for you. And the best way to do that is to think about the outcome that you want. Think about the outcome you want, whether it's around your house, whether it's around your family, whether it's around your faith, whether it's around your fitness. As you think about the goals you got for next year, let's think about how we start in December and not wait to January. Let's think about picking up that phone and calling our servicer, calling the attorneys, calling the people who are hounding us for cash. Let's think about making hard decisions about what we buy this year, about how we spend our money through the rest of the year, about the indulgences. Let's set some real expectations and let's have some hard conversations, because that is what sets us up for a great 2025. Y'all, that brings me to my favorite part of the podcast, which is our bow tie round. It's where you, our listeners, get to tie one on with your host, DJ Olojo. Our B in bow tie round stands for my best advice for somebody facing foreclosure. The O stands for one thing I'm grateful for, and the W stands for my wildest or most interesting foreclosure-related story. The B in bow tie round today, my best advice is start your goals for 2025 today. Yes, start your goals for 2025 today. Don't wait. Don't say, oh, I just need 2 more weeks. Let me just gorge myself on Bluebell ice cream and whatever else, for the next couple weeks. No, start them today. Don't wait. Don't delay. Don't procrastinate. Y'all, start them today. That is my best advice for you. The one thing I'm grateful for, I am grateful for my wife. Yes, she is so good to me. I love her. And she's my best friend. And so I'm grateful for her. She means the world to me. And I'm just grateful for her. So the wildest or most interesting foreclosure related story this week comes from an email I received yesterday that just talks about a loan that's going in foreclosure. The borrower on the loan is deceased, and we receive confirmation that the estate is being probated and that the executor of the estate will reach out to us regarding how to settle that file. Now, that seems very uninteresting. It doesn't seem very wild. It doesn't seem, crazy or salacious. But guess what? That's the best ones, right? Where it's a pretty straightforward process. But you'll be surprised how many times somebody dies and then no one comes forward. And then you have to take the house all the way to foreclosure sale. And guess what? If there is no heirs or nobody steps up, you can't file bankruptcy to stop the foreclosure. If the probate is delayed, and they haven't done everything they need to do, then guess what? It goes to sale, and then anybody can buy it unless somebody in the family has enough money to go to the foreclosure sale and buy it. They put themselves in a bad position. And so this is pretty much a straightforward cookie cutter scenario, but it's one to illustrate that this family acted early and on time. And although we did have to send a demand letter, and although we are starting the legal process, they are letting us know like, hey, the estate is probated or is in the process of being probated. We do plan to pay you off, and things will move forward without any hiccup, and the family won't lose the house. And that is so important, because you will be surprised how many times estate situations create chaos for families. Not only is there infighting and things like that, but maybe somebody didn't have a will, and then now since they don't have a will, people don't know what to do with the property, or you have one heir who's paying all the bills for the property, but the other heirs want all the money from the property. It just creates a lot of drama. And at the end of the day, when a family can get themselves together and move forward, it makes sure that the wealth that was created by that property stays in the family and does not go out. And so that is my wildest and most interesting foreclosure related story. And that is the end of our podcast today. And if the mission to help 1 million homeowners resonates with you, y'all know what to do. Like, subscribe, or share our content with someone who you know it can benefit, or leave us a 5-star review on any platform. Again, it really helps the algorithm, and it helps people get to this life-changing message. With that being said, my name is DJ Olojo. I love you. God bless you, and I will see you soon. Go start those goals today. The views and opinions on this podcast are for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice. If you have a specific legal question, we highly recommend you contact a qualified legal professional.